The alien nurse froze when she saw the wound. She had treated thousands of injuries aboard the orbital medical station, from minor fractures to deep tissue damage caused by accidents in zero gravity, but she had never seen anything like the mark on the human lying beneath the examination lights. The young man was conscious now, though confused, his breathing uneven as he stared at the silver-skinned woman standing beside him. He remembered a flash of white light, the sudden silence of his cockpit, and then nothing. He did not know where he was, how long he had been unconscious, or why the walls around him seemed to glow from within. All he knew was that he wanted answers. "Where am I?" he asked. The nurse did not respond. Her attention remained fixed on the scanner in her hand. A pale blue beam moved slowly across the wound near his shoulder. The device gave a soft tone. She glanced at the display. Her expression changed. She scanned him again. The tone came back, deeper this time. "What?" the man asked. "What did you find?" The nurse stepped closer, staring at the screen as if it had just contradicted everything she believed about biology. "Please remain still," she said quietly. "Why?" She did not answer. Instead, she moved the scanner over the same area again. The display filled with unfamiliar symbols. Then one line appeared in a language the human could not understand. The nurse stared at it for several seconds before slowly looking at him. "How long have you been alive?" she whispered. He frowned. "What kind of question is that?" She scanned the wound again. This time the machine issued a warning. The nurse immediately lowered the device. The mark on his shoulder had changed. It was not bleeding. It was not swelling. It was simply becoming smaller, as though his body were quietly restoring itself according to a pattern the scanner could not recognize. "That's impossible," she murmured. "What is?" The nurse took one step backward. "Your tissue." She looked toward the door. "Your tissue does not match any biological classification in our medical archive." The human sat up. "Wait, what does that mean?" The nurse seemed unable to decide whether to stay or leave. Finally, she turned toward the door. "You need to tell me who you are." "My name is Ryan Carter." She paused. "Species?" Ryan stared at her. "Human." The nurse looked almost frightened by the answer. "Human," she repeated softly, as if the word carried a meaning he could not hear. Then she hurried out of the room. Ryan watched the door close behind her. A few seconds later, he heard hurried footsteps outside. Then her voice echoed down the corridor. "Wake the Queen. Now." "The human is still alive." Ryan stared at the ceiling. "Still alive?" he whispered. For the first time since waking, he wondered if the greatest mystery in the room was not where he was, but what everyone else seemed to know about him. By the time the nurse returned, Ryan had learned nothing. The medical chamber had no windows, only smooth silver walls and a circular ceiling that glowed with soft white light. He had no idea whether minutes or hours had passed. The nurse entered with 2 additional scanners and another alien technician. Neither spoke to him. They examined the wound from different angles, comparing their readings. "Can somebody please tell me what is happening?" Ryan asked. The nurse finally looked at him. "Your injury should have produced scar tissue." "Okay." "It did not." "Is that bad?" "We don't know." She looked at the scanner. "That is what worries us." The technician moved a device over Ryan's chest. The screen displayed layers of information. "Blood chemistry is stable," he said. "Cellular structure is stable." The nurse shook her head. "Not stable. Changing." Ryan looked between them. "Changing how?" Neither answered immediately. The nurse selected a new scan. "Your body is responding to the environment." "What environment?" "This station." Ryan glanced around. "I'm on a station?" The nurse nodded. "Above the planet Aurealis." He stared at her. "That's not Earth." "No." Ryan laughed once, nervously. "Okay. This is a dream." "No," the nurse said. "It is not." She showed him a small image from the scanner. His cells appeared as shifting patterns of light. "When you arrived, your respiratory system was struggling with our atmosphere. Now it is functioning normally." Ryan slowly looked at her. "How long was I unconscious?" The nurse hesitated. 9 hours. "And you're saying my body adjusted to an alien atmosphere in 9 hours?" "I am saying we have no explanation for what happened." Ryan tried to stand, but the nurse gently raised a hand. "Please remain seated." He looked toward the door. "Can I leave?" The nurse glanced at the security panel. "Not yet." "Am I a prisoner?" Her expression tightened. "Not yet." Before Ryan could ask what that meant, a low chime sounded through the room. The door opened. Several tall figures entered wearing dark, ceremonial uniforms. They carried no visible weapons, but their presence immediately changed the atmosphere. Ryan looked at the nurse. Who are they? She lowered her voice. The Queen's guards. Ryan's stomach tightened. He had expected a doctor, perhaps a scientist, maybe someone who could explain the impossible situation. Instead, he was surrounded by strangers who seemed to have been waiting for him. One guard spoke. The Queen will see him. Ryan pointed toward himself. Me? The guard nodded. Now. Ryan stood. Why? The guard looked at the nurse. She answered for him. Because you are the first human anyone on Aurealis has ever seen. Ryan stopped moving. What? The nurse looked away. You heard me. The guards escorted him through the station. The corridors were enormous, curved, and filled with soft blue light. Through transparent sections in the walls, Ryan saw a planet below, covered in silver oceans and vast forests that glowed faintly beneath a violet sky. It was beautiful. It was also impossible. He pressed a hand against the glass. I really am not on Earth. No, the nurse said behind him. You are not. They entered a vast chamber where dozens of aliens stood in silence. At the far end was a raised platform, and upon it sat a woman with silver skin, dark eyes, and a simple crown of pale crystal. She did not look angry. She looked thoughtful. Ryan stepped forward. The room became silent. The Queen studied him for several seconds before speaking. Where did you get that wound? Ryan touched his shoulder. I don't know. There was an accident. What kind of accident? My aircraft went down. Where? Near Earth. The Queen exchanged a glance with the nurse. Earth, she said quietly. Yes. Ryan felt a strange tension spread through the chamber. Why does everyone react when I say that? The Queen stood. Because no human has ever been recorded on Aurealis. I didn't come here on purpose. I believe you. Her answer surprised him. Then why am I here? The Queen walked closer. That is what we need to discover. She looked at the scanner the nurse carried. Show me the reading. The nurse activated the display. The Queen studied the patterns. Her expression changed. This cannot be correct. The general standing nearby stepped forward. Your Majesty? She ignored him. Run the historical comparison. The nurse did so. The screen filled with old records. Ryan could not read them, but he could see that something had clearly unsettled everyone. What is it? He asked. The Queen looked directly at him. Your condition resembles a biological phenomenon described in our oldest scientific archives. What phenomenon? She hesitated. Adaptation. Ryan frowned. That's not exactly rare. Not at the speed your body is demonstrating. The general spoke. Your Majesty, this confirms the concern. The Queen turned toward him. General Varek. The human cannot be treated as an ordinary visitor. Ryan looked at him. I never asked to be here. Varek's expression remained controlled. That does not make you harmless. I'm not dangerous. Perhaps not intentionally. The Queen raised a hand. Enough. Varek fell silent. Ryan looked at her. I need to go home. The Queen's expression softened. I know. Can you send me back? She did not answer immediately. That silence frightened him more than anything else. Can you? He repeated. We do not yet know. The Queen looked at his shoulder. But we will find out why you survived the journey. Ryan swallowed. You keep saying survive like I was never supposed to. The Queen looked at him with an expression he could not interpret. Human, your species was never supposed to exist here. The chamber fell silent. Ryan stared at her. What does that mean? The Queen did not answer. General. Varek stepped forward instead. It means your arrival may not have been an accident. Ryan turned toward him. What are you saying? We are saying someone may have brought you here. Ryan shook his head. Nobody brought me here. My aircraft malfunctioned. Then we will examine the flight data. The Queen looked at the general. And until we know more, Ryan Carter remains under protection. Varek nodded reluctantly. Protection. His eyes moved toward Ryan. Of course. The words sounded less comforting than it should have. Ryan was taken to a secure guest chamber rather than a cell. There was a bed, a table, a transparent wall overlooking the planet, and a small device that translated the local language. The nurse introduced herself as Mira. She was the only person who spoke to him without making him feel like a scientific problem. You should rest, she said. Ryan sat near the window. You ran away from me. Mira looked embarrassed. I was afraid. Of me, of what I found. Ryan looked at her. What's the difference? She considered the question. If you were dangerous, I could understand how to protect others from you. What I found is something I do not understand. Ryan sighed. Neither do I. Mira smiled faintly. That may be the first thing we agree on. She checked his shoulder again. The mark was almost gone. It is changing faster now. Ryan looked down. Is that supposed to happen? No, could it hurt me? There is no indication of pain. She paused. But that does not mean there is no risk. Before Ryan could respond, an alert appeared on the wall. Mira turned toward it. What is that? Ryan asked. A restricted scan. From who? General Varek. The door opened. Varek entered with 2 scientists. We need another examination. Mira stepped between them and Ryan. The Queen authorized observation only. The Queen authorized protection, Varek replied. Protection requires information. Ryan stood. Fine. Scan me. Mira looked at him. Are you sure? I need answers too. The scientists began the examination. One device measured his breathing. Another analyzed his blood. A third scanned his entire body. The results appeared on the central display. At first, everything looked normal. Then the system began recalculating. One scientist leaned closer. Run it again. The scan repeated. The same result appeared. Varek stared at the display. What changed? The scientist swallowed. His cells have incorporated atmospheric markers, meaning his body is adjusting to Borealis. Varek looked at Ryan. How quickly? Faster than any known organism. Ryan folded his arms. So I'm adapting. That doesn't make me a threat. Varek answered quietly. No, but it makes you unprecedented. Mira looked at the screen. Wait. She pointed to a pattern near Ryan's lungs. That wasn't there during the first scan. Everyone moved closer. The pattern was small, almost invisible, but it was expanding. Ryan stared at it. What is that? Mira shook her head. I don't know. The scientist enlarged the image. The pattern formed a repeating structure. Varek's expression hardened. Is it a disease? No, a mutation? No, then what? Mira whispered the answer. A response. Ryan looked at her. A response to what? She turned toward the window. The planet. Varek immediately ordered the skin stopped. Your Majesty needs to see this. Within minutes, Ryan was back in the royal chamber. The Queen watched the new data in silence. He's not healing, Mira said. Then what is he doing? The Queen asked. Mira looked at Ryan. He's adapting. The Queen's eyes narrowed. To our atmosphere? Not only that. Mira expanded the scan. To radiation levels. Local microorganisms. Atmospheric pressure. Even trace compounds in the air. Ryan stared at the display. So my body is learning how to live here. Yes. Varek shook his head. That is not possible. The Queen looked at him. Yet it is happening. Varek stepped closer to the screen. If this ability exists in humanity, then Earth may possess a biological advantage we never knew about. Ryan turned toward him. I told you I'm not a soldier. You don't have to be. Then what do you want from me? Varek answered honestly. The truth. Ryan looked at the Queen. So do I. She nodded. Then we begin with your crash. The station's analysts reconstructed the final minutes of Ryan's flight. His aircraft had disappeared from Earth's tracking systems for 43 seconds. Then it had reappeared thousands of miles away from its original course before entering a strange energy field. Ryan remembered nothing about that moment. That isn't possible, he said. The analyst enlarged the data. The field was not generated by your aircraft. Then what generated it? The analyst pointed to the source. This planet. Ryan stared at the screen. Borealis pulled me here? We don't know. The Queen leaned forward. Could the planet have sent a signal? Possibly. To Earth. We need more data. Ryan felt cold despite the warm room. So someone may have called me here? The Queen shook her head. Not necessarily someone. Then what? She looked toward the vast window. Something. The investigation continued through the night. Ryan learned that Borealis had once recorded strange biological signals appearing across deep space. Thousands of years earlier, explorers had detected a pattern that seemed to respond to living organisms. The phenomenon disappeared without explanation. The records were eventually sealed and forgotten. Until Ryan arrived. Mira compared the old signal with the energy pattern detected during his crash. They matched. It's the same frequency, she said. Ryan stared at the display. What does that mean? Mira hesitated. It means your arrival may have triggered something that has been dormant for a very long time. Varek immediately wanted the station placed under emergency protocol. The Queen refused. We will not treat a guest as a threat simply because we do not understand him. Your Majesty, Varric said, unknown does not mean harmless. And fear does not mean wisdom. Ryan looked at both of them. For the first time since arriving, he understood that the argument was not really about him. It was about what people did when they encountered something they could not explain. Varric feared what humanity might become. The Queen feared what fear itself might become. Ryan simply wanted to go home. But now he was beginning to wonder whether home was still safe. The Queen approached him after the others left. You have every reason to distrust us. Ryan looked at her. Do you distrust me? She considered the question. No, why? Because you keep asking to go home. She smiled slightly. A weapon would not need to understand where it belongs. Ryan looked down. I don't know what I am becoming. The Queen nodded. Neither do we. She placed a small device on the table. This will monitor your biological changes. It will not restrain you. Ryan looked at it. And if something goes wrong, then we will face it together. Ryan gave a tired smile. You really believe that? I believe understanding is safer than fear. For the first time since waking aboard the station, Ryan felt something close to hope. But the hope lasted only until Mira rushed into the room. She was holding the scanner. Your Majesty. The Queen turned. What happened? Mira looked at Ryan. The signal changed. What signal? The one from Earth. Ryan stood. Earth? Mira activated the display. A new pattern appeared. It was not coming from Borealis. It was coming from deep space, traveling toward the planet. We detected it 6 minutes ago, she said. What does it say? Ryan asked. Mira shook her head. It isn't a message. Then what is it? The Queen stepped closer. Mira enlarged the data. It's a response. Ryan's heart began to race. A response to what? Mira looked at him. To you. The room became silent. Varric entered moments later, having received the alert. How close? He asked. 3 hours, Mira replied. 3 hours until what? Ryan asked. She looked toward the window. Until the signal reaches Borealis. The Queen turned to Ryan. We need to know what Earth is sending. Ryan shook his head. I don't know. Varric looked at the data. Perhaps you do not remember. Ryan frowned. What does that mean? Varric pointed to the original crash record. Your aircraft disappeared for 43 seconds. During that time, every system went offline except one. Ryan leaned toward the screen. Which one? Varric answered. The navigation beacon. Ryan stared at the data. It transmitted something? Yes. To where? The Queen looked at the coordinates. Her expression changed. Not to Earth. Ryan felt a chill. Then, where? She turned the display toward him. A set of coordinates appeared. They matched Borealis. Ryan slowly stepped backward. I didn't send that. Mira looked at the biological scan. Maybe you didn't. Ryan looked at her. Then who did? The scanner suddenly produced another reading. The mark on Ryan's shoulder, which had almost disappeared, briefly glowed beneath his skin. Mira froze. Your Majesty. The Queen looked at the display. What is it? Mira whispered. The signal isn't coming from Earth. Ryan stared at her. Then where? Mira slowly turned toward the window. It's coming from inside you. Everyone went silent. Ryan looked down at his shoulder. The glow faded. What does that mean? The Queen did not answer immediately. She studied him, then looked toward the planet below. It means the crash may never have been an accident. Ryan's voice was barely audible. Then what was it? The Queen looked back at him. An invitation. The station lights flickered. Across the planet, thousands of ancient structures began responding to the same signal. Ryan watched the distant landscape illuminate one region after another. Mira checked the scanner one final time. Your biological pattern is changing again. Ryan swallowed. Into what? Mira stared at the screen. We don't know. A new transmission appeared. This time, the translation system recognized it. A single sentence formed across the display in English. Ryan stared at the words. The Queen read them aloud. We found him. Ryan's face went pale. Who sent that? The system displayed a second line. The signal is originating from Earth. The Queen looked at Ryan. And now they know where you are. Ryan stared through the window at the alien world below. For the first time, he understood that the mystery had never been why an ordinary human had survived a journey to another planet. The real mystery was why something on Earth had wanted him to make that journey in the first place. And somewhere beyond the stars, something had just answered.